Once upon a time, there was a Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. A Medicare podcast that always wears galoshes when it rains. And now, brace for a hard landing, it's Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Well, thank you, Drew McMillan. I really appreciate that beautiful introduction you just allowed everybody to enjoy. And as Drew said, this is Doug Jones, your Medicare expert, bringing you glad tidings. Well, that's what they say at Christmas time, and we're past that point of the year right now. But frankly, this is it's always a pleasure to come to you and to tell you that the passage from Obamacare into Medicare is about to happen for you. It's going to be a good thing. It's nothing to be afraid of. Once you make a couple of decisions, everything will be wonderful from then on out. It's better coverage, it's more cost-effective coverage, and there's no reason to be concerned as many people are. Drew McMillan, that I just thanked, is my Canadian nephew. He used to be a big-time Canadian entertainer, but he is now using his CPA to work behind the scenes in the accounting area of a major Ontario production facility. I don't know what the company is, because you say a Canadian company in the States and everybody gets confused and they don't know what company you're talking about. So anyway, they, judging by their catalog, have a lot of projects going on. So I wish Drew well, but every once in a while I send him some things to record and he does them for us. And it adds a little bit of a professional patina to our efforts here. And this is the time in the podcast when I often ask Randy to play our 30-second radio spot. It explains very succinctly what we're doing here and how you can access the information that we have to offer. So Randy, I'm going to be real quiet now and hope that you play that for everybody to listen to.
Medicare is complicated. Medicare can be confusing. Medicare is no fun to study. Will you know what decisions to make when Medicare time arrives for you? My name is Doug Jones, and I wrote a book to help you figure it all out. Medicare for the Lazy Man. It's on sale at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Also, you can download and listen to my podcast, Medicare for the Lazy Man, wherever fine podcasts are given away free of charge. Medicare for the Lazy Man, simplest and easiest guide ever.
Okay, thank you very much. And as a matter of fact, since you've already played that beautiful 30-second radio spot, why don't you join us, Randy?
Glad to do that. How are you doing this morning, Mr. Jones?
Well, as you know, I'm in Illinois. You probably remembered that I'm not in Arizona anymore.
I noticed a couple icicles hanging off your frozen eyelashes.
Yes, and if you were to look carefully, you would see that there is snow falling from the sky.
Is that what that is? What? I didn't know what that was. Is that snow?
You're looking out the windows behind me, and that is that white stuff there is called snow. And you see it in the mountains. You could drive up to Flagstaff and probably see some on the mountains surrounding Flagstaff, but we're not in Flagstaff. I'm not in Flagstaff. I don't want to have snow on the ground. I'm very disappointed that I have to conduct the move out of my house in the snow. So I'm not.
I know it's never good when you're moving, as you know. Yeah. But it's exceptionally irritating, upsetting when it's in the middle of a snowstorm.
Oh man, we've waited so long for the right buyer to come along, someone who loves this house as we do, and someone who will enjoy it as we have. And what happens? They come along at exactly the wrong time of the year. So, I didn't want to tell them to wait 6 months, because then it would be summer and beautiful and much less unpleasant to move. They're just, they have to be accommodated. They want to get into this house and they want to do it pretty soon. So I've got to accommodate them.
Well, I understand. It's still no fun, but you're a man of your word, so that's what you're doing.
By the way, I got a whole bunch of words for the audience today. I had what I thought was a very interesting article it's going to be last year by the time this gets posted. So let's say last year,
okay.
At the end of the year, way back in 2021, I read an article that turned out to have been printed it thought it was larger than the paper was, and the edges of the article were hanging off the end of the paper, and I could not read it in a coherent manner. So I went back to that article, which I thought was worth spending some time on, and I somehow engineered it so that it would fit on the paper properly. And I thought I would pretend that other unfortunate episode never happened and start from scratch with this article. The title of the article is What to Do About the Reputed Medicare Supplement Plan F Death Spiral. Now, here's the background on the story. A couple of years ago, the law changed, and starting in 2020, people who were older than 65 could still get Plan F, which had been the most popular of all Medicare supplement plans. But that was the only group that could get it, meaning that new entrants into Plan F, new participants, were going to be of a increasingly older age. And the only thing that the younger people, age 65, those coming into Medicare for the first time or becoming eligible for the first time at age 65, the best coverage they could get would be Plan G. Plan F was a little more comprehensive, but not that much more. Basically, the only difference between those two is that Plan F pays 100% of everything, including that Part B annual deductible, whereas Plan G does not pay for the Part B annual deductible. Now, that deductible in 2021 was $203, and thanks to the economic morons that are in charge of the economy, that deductible is $233 in 2022. So that's the only difference. Even $233 isn't that bad. It's just kind of an interesting, huge growth in that annual deductible. That's only for Part B treatment. Everything else, including the high deductible plans, high deductible F, high deductible G, I believe are identical. That's what I've been told. So the only thing is they've introduced high deductible Plan G because eventually all the people eligible for Plan F are going to be dead, and they can just retire F and high deductible F forever. So this article, it talks about the death spiral. There was a lot of speculation that the rates on Plan F would go sky high. And I was of the Pollyanna school of thought that says that the Plan F premiums would not go sky high because there would be older people that are healthy, that have worked beyond age 65, that would be able to qualify for Plan F. And so there would be new blood coming into Plan F to help keep the rates reasonable. Well, turns out I was wrong. So they now talk about the Plan F death spiral, which is when the rates go up so fast that nobody, even those who could have Plan F that they wanted to, nobody wants to buy it because they're looking at big time rate increases coming down the pike. So this article goes on to say insurance agents have to walk a tightrope to serve our clients and the interests of the insurance companies. Those interests are often at odds with each other. And most recently, this came up when Medicare supplement legislation surrounding plans F and C changed in 2020. When the law that caused that change, which is known as MACRA, M-A-C-R-A, that's the Medicare Access and CHIP Reauthorization Act of 2015, when that was passed, agents were warned not to predict a death spiral. Yet seasoned agents knew that MACRA would negatively impact our Medicare Plan F clients on most plans in most states. In simple terms, if no new Plan F business could be sold, existing Plan F blocks of business would experience higher rate increases than plans that could be actively sold to new, healthy, and younger members. We agents were admonished not to move our clients from Plan F to Plan G. Who admonishes us? Well, that would be the insurance companies, of course, even though that is exactly what we should have done when the rate climate warranted it. Once again, we were admonished not to move our clients from Plan F to Plan G, even though that's exactly what we should have done because it would have been better for the clients. Moving healthy members from F to G only accelerated the price increases on Plan F. As usual, smaller carriers had more trouble maintaining attractive Plan F rates than many of the larger companies. As 2021 rate increases were announced, Plan F outpaced Plan G, sometimes by a large amount. The law only changed on January 1st, 2020, so we've just begun to start to feel the results of that law. Rate increases on Plan F are hefty and will only get worse year after year as no new clients are coming into those blocks of business. Will this cause more clients to move to Medicare Advantage plans? That's correct, according to this article. Ask yourself how long. Oh, Randy's looking sick. He's looking peaked over there. Medicare Advantage and Randy do not agree with each other. And I'm with Randy on this. Anyway, ask yourself how long you could endure double-digit rate increases on a fixed income. But agents need to be careful of moving large amounts of carrier or face termination, large amounts of carrier. Now, this is not a well-worded sentence. It says agents need to be careful of moving large amounts of their clients from one plan to another or face termination by the insurance companies that allow them to sell their products. As much as this is a secret in our industry, it is reality that many companies punish agents for putting the clients first. One large super GA, SGA, I think is a general agent with a big contract, wrote a lot of Medicare supplements with X company. When X took larger rate increases than the rest of the industry, that man moved all of his clients that were healthy enough to move. And the company promptly terminated his contract and placed a do not recontract, a DNR, which normally means do not resuscitate. So they basically killed this guy. And this is in his file for life. You know how they tell little kids, the bad thing you just did is going to go into your permanent record and it'll follow you through life, the rest of your life. Well, in this case, this guy's attempt to do a good thing for his clients by moving them to a similar product that was not so costly. It turns out that the company that he was moving his clients from placed a do not resuscitate on his contract for life. Now, this gentleman didn't care that he was terminated. Agents are usually flippant and very short-sighted about these situations. The conventional wisdom goes like this: I don't care that that company terminated me. They aren't competitive anyway. It's not a loss to me. Now, fast forward 5 or 10 years, and that company is now very competitive. That guy wants to sell for that company again, but he cannot because of the DNR, do not recontract, that was placed on him 5 or 10 years ago. The lesson here is never burn a bridge with an insurance company. Agents cannot serve their clients if they have no products to sell. It will always, or almost always, come back to haunt you if you lose access to a carrier. So protect those relationships and always be thinking long-term with your career. Now, this brings us back to MACRA and what to do in the face of a Plan F rate increases. Hopefully, you spread your business out among several carriers, but if not, it's too late to spread the risk. If you don't take care of your clients, many will leave you for a Medicare Advantage product, one of those 800 number ads that they see on television. If you move all of your Plan F clients to a Medicare Advantage product, you risk losing your contracts. That means the insurance company you're moving your clients away from is going to be perturbed and they're going to cancel your contract. This is a topic no one likes to talk about, but agents should consider their behavior from the point of view of the insurance companies before moving large blocks of clients, even when it's in the best interest of the clients. So the whole point of this is that if your agent does what he can to cause your plan, your expensive Plan F, to be replaced by a more reasonably priced Plan G, for instance, then the insurance company that you're with now is likely to penalize that agent. And it may not hurt him in the short term, but down the road, he's likely to be unable to offer an attractive product to future clients. So that's the point of this article that I just read. I'm not sure it makes a lot of sense for people, but the important thing to remember is that Plan F is currently under exceedingly high pressure to have its rates increased at most carriers. And so if you're fairly healthy, And if you have a Plan F, and if you've noticed that the rates are going higher faster than you would like, it's time to talk to your agent or to me about possibly moving to a more cost-effective plan with less rate increase pressure. It'll help you out in the long run. And the only thing that you'll suffer by moving from an F to a G is to have to pay a $233 annual Part B deductible this year. And that's a small price to pay because the difference in cost between a Plan F and a Plan G is often much greater than that $233 would be. Sometimes it's 3 times the difference. So that's my advice. Now, of course, I always like to think that people might be interested in the even less expensive high deductible or high value Plan G. And I'm always happy to show that premium cost as well. So, Randy, I see by the clock on the wall that I haven't spoken as long as I normally have. It seems like by this time, I'm usually, the crickets have chirped and we're out of here.
Well, we have 3 minutes and 48 seconds left, but I have a question.
Well, I always enjoy your questions. Ask away.
So what I'm understanding of the folks that have regular Plan F, it's something akin to rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Is that true?
Something, I think that's probably pretty accurate because Plan F, from one company to another, you could move to a company that doesn't charge as much for that Plan F, but eventually they're going to have the same pressure. They just don't have it as soon as the company you're with might, assuming you feel the increased prices are outrageous already and you want to get out. You can't think about going to a Plan F at another company because I think the same thing will happen to you eventually.
Yeah.
So you got to get off the Titanic and get onto the Carpathia.
Yes. And it did come by and pick up some survivors. So think of it that way.
Yeah.
When you see the Carpathia floating by, they did pick up some survivors. So you need to be in a lifeboat prepared to do that.
Right. Absolutely. The other thing is Plan G has that small little premium or the Part B deductible, which is only $233. Well, Congress can raise that. Actually, not Congress. It's the CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, who has control over what that's going to be. And they have some very convoluted algorithm that they use to set the prices, the deductibles and the rates for the cost for Plan B and all that stuff. So there's always the possibility that Plan G will become unpleasant in the future, but it's much less likely because right now the actuaries are saying that the existence of that Plan B deductible helps keep people from camping out on the doctor's doorstep. So if they think they're going to have to pay the first $200 a year themselves, they're going to think twice before going to the doctor for a runny nose. So that's why Plan G is right now it's a little better. On the other hand, you can take a giant step into the future and take the plan that Randy and I endorse, and that is the high deductible Plan G or the high value Plan G, because that increases the skin in the game that the insured person has. You pay less premium, but you pay basically 20% of your outpatient medical costs yourself. And the existence of that cost sharing keeps the premium costs really, really low. So you're not having to get penalized financially for having Medicare supplements like other people do.
Plus, I was going to mention, I know people that have been with this podcast for quite some time, they will remember this, but just for those folks that haven't been with us that long, you might look back in some of the podcasts. Doug has explained the mathematics behind the high value Plan G, several times. So it's not as scary as it might seem after you look at the mathematics of it. For the most part, the mathematics will show you that it's a great choice.
Yeah, I think we should probably do that again, because now that we've gone from 2021 into 2022, the CMS, that government agency that can't figure out how to spell its own acronym properly, has rejiggered the numbers. And I think a revisit to the new math is probably warranted. And I think the result's going to be the same. It looks scary. Oh my God, I've got a 1,000, whatever deductible. But in reality, the amount of cost sharing that a healthy person is going to have to pay out of their pocket is going to be relatively small, and the premium savings are going to be very, very nice.
Yeah, I mean, that name, and that's kind of the reason that you and I coined the term high value plan, because that high deductible, that's like the worst name for a plan I've ever heard, because people, if they don't look into it and if they don't understand it, it will scare them away.
Yeah, they think the plan forces them to pay the first few $1,000s out of their own pocket before the plan pays anything. And that's just not true. And frankly, people are sick of that in their Obamacare plans. You get a job, they give you health insurance, but it might have like a $10,000 deductible or $5,000 deductible. And the reason for that is to keep the cost down. Because ever since that.
Ask me about that.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a younger wife that's still facing that.
Yes, and she's got a few more years to go, and we're not going to be able to solve that problem until she turns 65, and that's a way off into the future.
That's like mentally, that's like forever.
Understandable. On the other hand, now that you have all those grandchildren, the time is going to go much more quickly.
Yes, it did. And it will. I got through the first holiday gathering with the grandkids, and I must admit, I was on edge most of the time because I'm not used to that type of thing, but I got through it. I enjoyed the whole day, and I discovered that I think I'm going to make it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I had two children. One was 6 years older than the other, and so I kind of got used to having kids around during holiday stuff. It was a gradual process. You had like an explosion of grandchildren that occurred all at once. I did.
It was a nuclear explosion of grandchildren. I went from 0 to 3 in less than a year.
I was worried about your survival, but you look like you survived it quite nicely. And I'm sure Margaret had a good time.
This is just a paper printout of what I used to look like.
Oh, man. That's like one of the things that I'm trying to be careful about moving. I've got a life-size cardboard cutout, a standee of the guy that starred in, the guy from Colorado Springs, Colorado, the detective, the homicide detective.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about.
My daughter-in-law said that guy looks just like me, and so she got me a life-size cardboard standee of him. And we've had it in a closet so it didn't scare people looking at the house. I normally like to keep it at the end of a long, dark hallway.
Yes.
But in this case, we hid it away during the sale process, and now he's going to be moved. We have to be very careful not to wreck him.
What is the lieutenant? Somebody.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda.
Lieutenant Kenda.
Yeah, he was the guy that solved almost all of his homicide cases, whereas your average cop, eats a lot of donuts and doesn't work that hard. He had his thinking cap on all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lieutenant Kenda solved, I know, well over 400 cases.
Exactly right.
And I like one of the phrases that he uses to introduce his shows. I don't know about his new one, but his old ones, he used to say, I don't know what their lead up to this comment is, but he says, I will find you.
Yeah. I think it's if you do something bad, I will find you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the crickets have spoken.
Yeah, let's get the heck out of here and go play in the snow, shall we? I want to.
Yeah, well, I have no snow, but would you send pictures? I really like snow to look at it.
All you need is a few degrees colder, and you're going to wind up, hip deep in snow.
You got it. Well, something, I would very much like to thank the audience. I don't know just exactly when this is going to hit the air, but it's been a great year. You have really supported us, and we appreciate every minute of it and every piece of support we get, because it's been a great year for us in terms of volume of podcast downloads and so forth and so on. So thank you so much. Keep recommending us to your friends and relatives, and don't forget to go to Amazon, get yourself a book, get yourself several, no matter what format they come in, because we will really appreciate that. And by the way, write to Doug. Doug gets every once in a while, Doug gets a little tear that rolls down his cheek when he doesn't get any new mailbag items. And it's a real problem for me because I can't go to the chip. So both ways it would work out. So send a letter to dbj@mlmmailbag.com.
That's right. And we'll be right there to open it up, read it. And frankly, even if it's a complaint, by the time I finish doing a little surgery to it, it's going to look like a beautiful piece of literature. So don't be afraid.
Absolutely. So in the meantime, you guys have just spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the insurance guy from Oklahoma. And the last I heard was he wears his boots to bed.
Goodbye, I think.